Hi everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much everybody for coming back to my channel. Thank you to everybody who's listening in the podcast. Today is Monday, July 15, 2024. I wanted to come here and speak about this case because once again I see that this is something that I always speak to you guys about, how people pretend to be one thing on the internet and then they are a complete opposite, like a complete 180. So before I continue, I want to say I do have the window open in case you hear any noises. And thank you so much to the new subscribers and everybody who is listening on the Apple Podcast, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. I wanted to say I'm also on Pandora and Amazon Music, and you can just, anywhere that you listen to podcasts, you can just search for Julissa Designs, and I'm sure you'll find me there. If not, please leave me a comment so that I can start sending my podcast to those platforms. But thank you again to everybody who comes and listens and watches the videos. So in case you haven't heard, there is an influencer, very famous influencer from Brazil. Her name is Kat Torres. She has so many followers. This person was a model, a health guru, like they call it these days, a person who had a bunch of followers. Like I said, so into celebrities, she will be hanging out with a lot of celebrities to the point that she, at one point, they're saying that she actually dated Leonardo DiCaprio, right? So this huge influencer from Brazil um, was, what the world called, I guess you can say, living the life, right? But something started happening that people that were associated with her, right, some followers of her, became missing. They were missing. So the families started going to the police, right, to get information. Turns out this huge influencer, right, a person that, because these days you see somebody's Instagram and you're like, oh look, they have so many followers, they must be doing something good in life, they must be good, they must be walking the right path, right? This is why you have to always ask God for discernment and don't believe everything that you see, because even followers, you know they people can buy followers, right? They can pay for followers. They can pay for reviews. I mean, a lot of the Amazon reviews now, I know years ago they did an investigation how some of them are paid reviews. That is crazy. It's so hard to believe anything these days. But so this huge influencer, um, you know, people will probably put her in a pedestal. That's why the Bible speaks about idols and idolatry. You really don't know what these people do behind closed doors, right? A lot of people see somebody who is fit, who is basically works out every day, and they're like, "Oh, she's a good, she's." The people always say, "Oh, she's good because this and the other." Um, Everything is based out of surface. Everything is based out of what you see from the outside, and nobody wants to. The Bible says, "Look at the fruit." Right? They might have the craziest house, the messiest house. They might have a bunch of debt. They might be liar, envious, and they might be crazy into witchcraft. But because from the outside they appear so clean and healthy, because healthy is not just your body, right? People always put them in pedestals, and you know, they don't go beyond that, right? And on top of that, having a bunch of followers makes people believe that, man, this person must have something, right? But look at P. Diddy, right? Look at all of these celebrities that, you know, not all of them are being exposed, but once they get exposed, and you can be like, oh my goodness, what am I doing listening to this person's music, right? So let me continue with this lady, right? From Instagram influencer to slave trafficker. So that's what was happening with her. Some of her followers were being trafficked obviously against their will, held captive, deprived of sleep, being forced to sleep with strangers for money. That is crazy, guys. If you see me like smiling, it's not because I approve any of this, obviously, but because who would have thought, right? You hear about sex trafficking and you're like, oh yeah, we have the P. Diddy case, but, really you think about that happening like in some far away country, and never with people like people that get on camera, they get on Instagram, they want to tell you how to eat healthy. You would think those people want, to also tell you be aware of, the crazy men, crazy people, be aware of your surroundings, like your overall well-being. But this person is teaching you, right? This lady, Kat Torres, perhaps might have been teaching her millions of followers, excuse me, how to eat healthy, but behind closed doors, she was trafficking people that were like her friends, followers of her that she met, and she kind of like grabbed them along the way, meaning, they promise you, hey, I can post your photo on my Instagram and you want to come with me or something. And then by the time they realize it's kind of too late. This is why you have to be aware of that. The love of money is another thing. I mean, it's so crazy just thinking about it now. How everything that is so in the Bible that we read for so many years, now it's almost like it's so clear now. It's so clear. I'm like, this is what the Bible means about idolatry, right? This is why it is so dangerous to believe that. This is why the Bible speaks about the fruit of the Spirit, right? Um, it doesn't say if somebody's this size, that means they're a good person. Like you have to go beyond that. And the fruit of the Spirit. And also, being a false person, right? Pretending to be something that you're not. That's crazy. And we see it now. I think social media has brought that into a whole different dimension, meaning like now it's so easy for people to do something like this, right? Um, that's crazy. I mean, even thinking about P. Diddy, what did he do? The minute that video came out, he apologized. He did a quick video apologizing. And what did he do? He went on Instagram and basically deleted all of his posts. So something mentally is going on there too. His post is kind of like, oh, now you want to delete that you're not the person that you portray to be on the internet or to your followers. So let me continue to read. Kat Torres, who was featured on international magazines, like this girl was everywhere, featured in international magazines, covers party, and with Leonardo DiCaprio, is currently jailed for luring models to the U.S. to be sexually exploited. Okay, so I guess she will bring them from her native Brazil to come here. It says here, from humble beginnings, Kat Torres will overcome extreme poverty to lead a coveted life of luxury, brushing shoulders with A-list celebrities and foreign people, coaching 14,000. She was coaching 14,000 clients in how to achieve greatness. Meanwhile, this girl was trafficking young women for money, holding them against their will, bringing them to this country with false promises, and depriving them of life, of everything, sleep, food, of life, forcing them to be slaves and all of that. And then people are paying for her to teach them how to be a better person, I guess. I mean, people think that God doesn't see any of that. It's so crazy how people tend to believe their own lie. And they attract people because of money and fame. Perhaps they might have people around them telling them, you're doing great. You're doing great or something. And they believe it and they continue to do evil things, right? It says here, but behind the scenes, the Brazilian wellness influencer and model has schemed a far more sinister plan to snare her followers into a cultism web of human trafficking and slavery. A judge concluded as she was sentenced to years in prison last month. Katiuska Torre was deported back to Brazil and arrested in November of 2022 as allegations emerged about her life behind closed doors in the United States. After more than 18 months in jail, she was finally sentenced. So that happened last week. She was finally sentenced to 8 years in prison for subjecting follower to human trafficking and slavery. Um, so the victim was lured abroad. So you know how many people, like, you guys know I'm Dominican, right? So a lot of the times, even growing up, you will hear people, oh man, if I can just get like to New York or like it's always from. I mean, obviously not everybody has aspiration to come here to the United States, but that's something that is very common to hear, even to this day. People always want to get their visas to be able to come here and get a better life, a more opportunity. If they want to be an actor, they want to go to Hollywood. If they want to be into fashion, they come to New York, things like that, right? You hear that all the time. So it's nothing, nothing crazy. But this influencer, Kat Torres, use that, right? Making false promises to this young woman who wanted to come here, perhaps a model, and they see, hey, she is a huge influencer with so many followers. I mean, being around Leonardo DiCaprio, like people probably in their mind thought this is my big ticket. And this young woman were being brought into hotel rooms to be sex slaves. That is crazy, guys. And people are like, it's so crazy that you have to like ask, man. These days I've been praying like crazy. Always pray to the Lord. People are living crazy lives these days. Obviously not everybody, but ask God for discernment, because you have to go more than what you see. You have to go beyond the surface. Like, looking at her, right? Who would have thought, right? She probably achieved so much, like they say in this article, coming from poverty and achieving 14,000 members in her wellness club, how to be a better person, how to achieve greatness. And this is what she was doing with the people, the young girls who had dreams also of becoming a model and all of that. It's crazy. The guru has maintained her innocence from prison in Rio de Janeiro, but listen to this, more than 20 women are now claiming to have been scammed or exploited. Horrifying revelations continue to emerge around the bizarre life of the Instagram influencer, once inspiring once an inspiration to millions. So they're saying that she had almost 1 million followers, or more than 1 million followers. More than 20 women has come forward, um speaking about this, almost like that lady who dealt with what's his name, uh the guy with the island. Forgot his name just now. But you guys know that she's in jail right now. um this woman was facilitating all these young girls to this man crazy addiction and bad habit. And look at her now, she's in jail too. So it's so crazy, right? At the high, Katiuska Torres Suarez commanded a following 1.2 million subscribers on Instagram, sharing wholesome inspirational posts and life advice on relationship, business, and wellness. Oh man, she thought in her mind she's like living the life. Look at me. I have people who follow me. People do anything to have a picture with me, this and that. The love of money, the lust of the eyes, right? The pride of life is so biblical. All of this. Not long ago, I learned about the other story about this parenting couple, right? That had children living in their home. You know how crazy and deceived life you must have, that you get on Instagram saying how good of a parent you are, how everything is organized, and behind closed door you're not even feeding your kid. You're tying your kid to their bed so they don't go anywhere, and then they escape. One of the boys escaped and went to the neighbors, and that's, they called the police, and that's how they were able to escape from that abuse. And also their parents are also in jail. That's crazy. And then you get branding deals. A lot of these people with the huge following, I mean 1.2 million followers, they get branding deals. And then, who is going to look at them and say you're doing something bad? But thanks be to God, because nothing escapes the Lord. Look at where she is right now. She's in jail, convicted for 8 years. Okay. Um, During her rises here, Miss Torres moved to LA to pursue an acting career and document her journey online, as influencer lifestyle online, and had an amazing loyal following. It was after taking a powerful um, medication. She said she reinvented herself as a life coach and hypnotist, according to a magazine. In 2017, she also published a self-help book called A Voice and appeared on Brazilian television, claiming she has been guided by a voice from above, a spiritual connection that guided her work. So, um, by now you can probably guess what voice she heard. I also was reading here that she's also called herself a witch. So I mean, like, are you kidding me? You know how many like the other day there was a beat about Ariana Grande saying how she's a witch, and then that girl is a famous actress too. She was saying how her boyfriend used their own blood. And this is why you have to be careful, right? If you have like teenagers or family members and things like that. This is why it's so dangerous these days, because all of these big influencers, singers, and things like that, a lot of them are dwelling in, they're swimming in the river of witchcraft, okay? And that is a very dangerous thing. Everybody who practices witchcraft is basically hand in hand with the enemy. Witchcraft could also be a form of manipulation, trying to force people to do something they already told you they're not going to do. Like this girl here, trying to manipulate this woman into, being sex workers and forcing them to do things, going without food and things like that. Um, that's crazy, you guys, just to even think about it. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that she accomplished, but you know in life, people think they're doing everything right because of they always have this group of people applauding them. It could be a follower, it could be millions obviously of followers, people who like everything they make, their books and whatever. And when they see them with a celebrity, they're like, of course she's great, look at her, she's out there with a celebrity, so how can you think otherwise, right? This is why you always have to ask God for discernment. Okay, it's crazy. Let me see here if I have other information. Her victims and alleged victims now warn against the allure of such promises. It says here, today, many are still undergoing psychiatric treatment for the conditions they say they endure while living with the influencer, and they are waiting further verdicts on her after more investigation is done. So yeah, when you overcome, like when you're in a relationship where you're being forced to do something you obviously don't want to do, you say no, they don't respect your boundaries, they don't respect your opinion, and you're deprived of, just human daily things like food and sleep and things like that. You're obviously under a spell, and you're all obviously under the spirit of witchcraft. I mean, I don't know if it's a spirit. So you're being manipulated by a witch, and you have to be so careful about that. Right. And this is what I told you guys. I'm laughing because it's always, I feel like I'm repeating myself. I tell you guys about flattery. I don't like, people can they do flatteries to just basically, sell you with their words, and they tell you what you want to hear just so that they can, it's almost like a bait, right? It's almost like a trap so you can fall right into them. Because how can you be mean to somebody, or put a stop to somebody who's always, people will look at you crazy too, and you're like, oh, I don't want to go anymore. They're like, what do you mean, they're so nice, right? And they're like, yeah, they're using flattery to get people, right? to make people do what they want. So you always have to be careful. I didn't make this video so long. Maybe I'll do another video regarding her. But let me know what you guys think so far about this huge influencer. Her name is Kat Torres, and she was just sentenced to 8 years in prison in Brazil. Well, she was here and then she was sent back to Brazil because of everything that they discovered. They're saying that they're doing more investigations regarding her and the woman she abused, and a lot of the victims right now are under psychiatric evaluation and going through therapy to basically um, overcome all of this that they went through. Let me know what you guys think about this. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming back to my channel. Thank you, everybody who's listening in the podcast. Have a good day. God bless.